Hello everyone and welcome back to GPVWC Super League round 12 out of 16 of the 2024 championship. I am very excited to be back. It's been nearly a month since our last race, and if that one was anything to go by, then who knows what we could be in store for today. I'm being joined once again by Ryan Elliott, who very sadly missed the last race. Ryan, what have you been up to and how dare you?
Oh, I've been very busy, very busy with work at the moment. It's a bit of a mad season for me, and I was gutted. I mean, it feels like forever. It was, that's 6 weeks for me now that it's been since I've last commentated on a GPVWC Super League race. So it's a pleasure to be back, and I can't wait. Monza's one of my favourite tracks.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you back, and it's also a pleasure to have back our cameraman, Vincent Gutt, who has been away doing a little bit of Super League experience of his own recently, racing in a good few Super League races. Vincent, welcome back. Always good to have you in the commentary box, or in the broadcast machine when you can't necessarily drive on track. Today, of course, we are at the Temple of Speed, the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, the fastest average speed circuit of the calendar. And this should be theoretically the shortest race in terms of actual length of time. There are rumours of potential rain, but it doesn't look like that's going to affect things just yet. Certainly won't affect it in qualifying. So I reckon we're going to get a relatively straightforward, fast race today. But you do have opportunities for slipstreaming people. You have an interesting strategy here because it's quite a long pit lane and it's quite slow compared to the circuit. So drivers will theoretically only want to make one stop if they can get away with it. And we have 53 laps to see how that will actually affect the order. Let's talk about the championship quickly as we're getting underway for qualifying. So while they're all out on their out laps, Jan Granqvist leads the championship by 74 points over Tom Stevens. He's getting very close to wrapping the championship up. Can't do it mathematically this time around, but like I said, he can get very close indeed. Although Jan Granqvist did message me the other day, sounding rather unconfident about his chances for this race. He said, my Simu Cube, that would be his steering wheel, has broken down and I'm going to be racing with a Logitech G923 instead. He says he feels like he's driving with a lot of input lag and that this might affect his performance. So keep an eye on Jan Granqvist, see how he does today. He's had one dud round this year where he had no pace at the Canadian Grand Prix, but every other race he's been almost unstoppable. He's won 5 of them. He's been on the podium every single time but Canada. Jan Granqvist, if he is held back by this wheel issue, then unfortunately that would break a real streak for him. Tom Stevens, like I said, is second in the championship. He won the last race at Belgium after a drag race to the line with Jan Granqvist. It was an amazing battle, and I would definitely recommend going back to watch that one at some point. Mark Schluter is third in the championship. He has 2 wins to his name at the San Marino Grand Prix and at the Austrian Grand Prix. Adam Maguire is 4th in the standings. He is the top driver not to have won a race yet. Robin Pantar is 5th, and he actually topped the practice time, so look out for him. Carlos Martin is 6th place, the winner of the Canadian Grand Prix. Matthias Moos is 7th, then it's Jukka-Pekka Lalu, Janos Brachot, and Matthew Williams. So that is how they stand in the championship. And we also have 3 replacement drivers for this particular race, drivers who were not expected to be on the grid today. Arda Erkan, who is a regular in I've seen him a lot in endurance racing here on rFactor 2. Hasn't really been a regular in GPWC for a little while, but he does have a Super League race to his start. He started and failed to finish the Brazilian Grand Prix in 2022, so this will be Arda's second Super League start. He will be racing today for Edge Esports. I'll have to try to look up who he's replacing in that seat in a minute. Sergio Fletcher is making his GPVWC debut for this round. He has never raced in GPWC at all. He has only done tests for GPWC, and he's never raced in any of the categories, let alone Super League. He is racing for Adonis Engineering today. And Dennis Urban makes just his second Super League start as well for Green Stripes Racing. I have rather yammered on a bit, Ryan. I haven't really given you a chance to talk about anything, but we were talking before the start about Jan Granqvist's perceived wheel issue, where his Simu Cube has broken down and he's using an unfamiliar steering wheel that he's not a big fan of. How do you think that's going to affect him, and do you think it really could add a bit of spice into the mix?
It certainly could. I mean, I was quite tough when we were talking earlier, saying that I didn't think it would make too much of a difference. However, you made a fair point where, you know, all it takes is for that to get into a driver's head and it can cost you time, literally just from that. I mean, I had a similar situation where I had to go from a CSL to a G27 a few years ago and went faster on the G27, because I personally believe it's more in the pedals than in the wheel. But you know, all it takes is for you to be thrown off ever so slightly by it, not feeling comfortable, and you can get out of a rhythm. So it'll be quite interesting. He's in a good spot though. It's probably the best time it could have happened to him, when he's got a 74-point lead. He is quite comfortable at the moment. And like I say, he can almost wrap it up today, but not quite. Just going back a point as well, Arda's stepping in for Chris Shepherd, with who
Gotcha.
I think is also having some failure at the moment. He drives for me in another touring car league, and he's been absent. I can't remember if it's a wheel failure or PC failure, but that's why he's missing today.
Shame for Chris Shepherd, but Arda Erkan steps in as a result of that. We're still missing 3 cars on the server, but we have a little bit of time to go in qualifying. Sometimes you do see this. There's an R&D test session that goes on at the same time, so sometimes teams don't show up until right at the last minute. But I think TX3, I don't think TX3 have any cars here yet, and that's a little bit nerve-wracking because they did not show up to one of the races a little while ago. So hopefully they can get in, but I'm not convinced that they are going to be here. Anyway, we'll keep you updated on that as we go along. Okay, so the first few qualifying times have been set. It's currently Robin Panzer at the top of the times. Wow, nearly half a second ahead of Jan Granqvist, so a big lap from Robin Panzer to set the banker. Jarl Tyen goes up to second place there in the Nocturne. Tyen's another driver who you never quite know if he's going to be racing or not. He's in and he's out and he's all over the place, but Jarl Tyen won this Grand Prix a year ago, don't forget, so he will be one to look out for. Jan Granqvist is currently third in the session, and it's Stevens and Schluter rounding out the top 5. 20 drivers have set flying laps so far. We've got 27 in the server, so some more times to come. And we always say, Ryan, that it's the last 2 or 3 minutes of the session that really matter in terms of the order.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, already a negative gap at the top from Robin Panzer. His teammate Sergio going P15 as well. Not bad at all. But it's super tight if you look second place backwards. Monza always kind of provides this tight qualifying session, and we're just seeing these times they're just flying in left, right, and centre at the moment. If we go on board now with Owen McGorgy, let's see what he can do. Down in P26 at the moment, probably not too reflective, but both TX3 drivers missing, like you said. Even on the spotters guide that Menno puts out, there's no info, is what's written against their two cars. So I'm not too sure what's gone on there, but it's a shame not to see them seats being filled. So I think we're really, in reality, just missing one car at the moment now.
Bizarre, because they missed the British Grand Prix as well, and then of course the next race they only showed up to with one car driven by Stephen Lexo. So Virtual Drivers by TX3, I kind of feel at the minute that they're not really taking this league particularly seriously, and it's a little bit disrespectful, to be honest, to not put anyone out there on the track, because there are plenty of drivers out there looking for seats in categories like this. And if the seats are just left open, if you basically say yes to whoever comes to you, then at least you've got cars on the track and you can quit at the end of the season or whatever. But for the time being, it looks as if TX3 are not going to be showing up today. We're missing one other car, and I'm not entirely sure which one that is yet, but we'll keep an eye on that. Here's Daniel Stepkowski in the middle part of the circuit. Ryan, I was watching back the, was it 2022 Japanese Grand Prix the other day, and I think that's quite a special one for you because you had both of the powered by RSR cars on the front row of the grid, Stepkowski and Moose. Not Moose, Tomasz Vok. Didn't exactly end how you would have liked, per se. You ended up being jumped by Matthias Moose in that race, I think.
Yes.
And Stepkowski and Vok ended up second and third. But they are definitely drivers who can pull out a qualifying lap sometimes.
Yeah, they are. I think we really struggled this year massively. We're miles off where we've been in the past. I don't think our car's been quite there for a few reasons. Potentially a bit of struggle from us, obviously splitting from Red Archer when they left GPVWC. So it's been really tricky, and I feel really sorry for the guys that things, off track haven't quite gone their way this year in terms of our development. The engine as well has been a big struggle and a bit of a learning curve for me. It all came about a bit last minute, and I don't think I was too prepared for what it'd entail. But we're learning, we're getting there. It's been a tough year, but I still believe that they can definitely do something. They're both top quality drivers. Obviously, Tomasz being a race winner now as well. Also, it's Suzuka actually. It was last year. So yeah, they could. I know they can do it, but we just need a little bit of lady luck, I think.
Now, Ryan, talking of development, I've been looking into that as well. It's always very difficult to work out the team's research and development because it's not always accurate on the site. And right now, the site isn't actually showing me anything, so I can't really update you on that. But I'll come to you for that in a second. But the thing that I do notice is that only 3 cars out there are going to be running used engines. Of course, you can choose to use an engine you've used in a previous race, or you can have a brand new one. And Monza, being a power circuit, is usually one where you'd want to bring a brand new power unit. Those 3 cars are the second Epic Racing Team car, number 97, and that would be that would be Jeffrey Fournier, indeed. And then both of the Super Venturi cars are using an engine they've used before. Super Venturi, of course, team's championship leaders, and Jan Grankvist is the drivers' championship leader. So quite interesting to see them bringing a used engine to Monza. What do you think about that one?
Well, they're in a, like I said before, they're in a good spot with Jan, so if he knows he can be there or thereabouts on a slightly worse engine, then we've got another big power track coming up in Azerbaijan, so he might be wanting to use a fresh engine there. He might have already used the allocation, actually. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. People have different strategies. I know I used to prefer sometimes using a worse engine at a track that I thought I could be really fast at, and then chucking in a better engine when I probably needed it a bit more. But everyone has different ways of doing it. Some people think the other way around. They think I'd want to use my best engine when I'm going to be fast, so I can get like a really, really good result, and then just use my bad engines on the rounds I know I'm going to be slow at anyway. Jan's still doing a good job in P2, so he's definitely not going to be complaining, especially when he's ahead of Stevens, where even is Tom Stevens right now, P10. He'll be laughing with that.
Indeed. Well, we are now into the last 2.5 minutes of the session. This is when it gets really, really important for the drivers to set the laps. Of course, the track is at its quickest right now. It's been rubbered in. The drivers have been warmed up and ready. Dylan Fisher there crawling, so he's abandoned the lap that he was on. Looks set to set himself up for another lap. I'll tell you why he's waiting here. He wants to go right at the end, just so that he has the best possible track for his time. His tyres will be getting cold a bit, but he should be okay. It's interesting though, because normally you'd see drivers doing that right at 0 on the clock, because you can, of course, unless he wants to go for 2 laps with the best possible conditions, but considering he was already on a lap, I'm not sure if he will have the tyres and fuel for that. But anyway, still Panzer leading from Granqvist and Schluter. Panzer decently comfortable. I mean, it's quite a short track, so 0.184 of an advantage it's more than it would be at some other circuits. Matthias Moos here goes P9, not bad lap at all. Into the top 10 goes the HRT driver. We still only have... Oh, goodness, we've gone down to 25 cars on the server somehow, so we've had some disconnections. Hopefully everyone can get back in time for the race start. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. Dennis Urban here is currently at the bottom of the times in terms of the drivers who have set flying laps. Looks to be improving, though. Not sure it'll be enough to get him up the order at all, but... Oh, it did. Okay, he's up to P21. Not bad from Dennis Urban, the rookie, in the Green Stripes Racing car. But we're waiting to see the leaders. They're all going to be starting flying laps about now. And here is Robin Panzer about to start his final flying lap, which he hopes will put him well clear of the opposition so that no one can knock him off of his perch, Ryan.
Yeah, he'll have one last go at it, even though I'm not sure he necessarily has to. It's quite an impressive gap at the front. It has slowly come down though as the session's gone on, and I think he has actually done a faster lap as well than he did at the start of the session. So he's constantly getting faster, and that's what I love about this track, is that first chicane. It can all go so wrong so quickly. That's the thing with tracks like this. You've got a massive stop and then some really high speed technical corners as well. Obviously we've seen a few changes in real life as well to the curbing around here, which would be nice to see reflected in the sim maybe next time we come here. And he's going purple in sector 1. I don't think that's a true purple. It's just an improvement on his lap time. Let's see what he does for sector 2.
Well, he had a little wiggle on the first Lesmo.
Yeah,
I'm not sure this will be his best sector time. Comes across the timing beam, it's about there, and he did lose about 1.5 tenths of a second. It may not be an improvement. Mark Schluter is improving. Schluter goes second. Oh, he's 200ths of a second off. That was very close there for the Edge Esports car, and that's why Panzer still wanted to improve his lap. That might be the last driver who can go quicker, though. Carlos Martin, potentially, but he's a little way off. Robin Panzer at the final corner pits. Let's take a look at Carlos Martin. And he's crawling, so Martin has abandoned his lap. I'm not sure why he's still out there, but that's the lot for him. Jarl Tyne across the line goes P4, and yep, that's the lot for him. So Tyne P4 sees the checkered flag. Here's Stein Handgraf, and he's just completed a lap. He's 13th. I think that's it, actually. So not the most frenetic end to a GPWC Super League qualifying session, but it did get very close between Robin Panzer and Mark Schluter. Jan Granqvist not so far off. Nowhere near as far off as he'd have us believing that he was going to be with his brand new steering wheel and or old steering wheel. I don't know if he's resorted to a backup somehow, but whatever the case, Granqvist still able to get third on the grid. Sorry, let's take a look at Arda Erkan if we can. Sorry, my timing sheet was just lighting up there saying that Arda Erkan was going quicker, but I think it's a bit late for that, isn't it? Well, there he is. I think the session's over, so I'm not sure why that was. But anyway, you can see the order on your screen. Robin Panzer, P1. Mike Schluter, P2. Then Jan Granqvist. Jarl Tyne, last year's winner at this race. Carlos Martin, Tom Stevens, Jeffrey Fournier, Adam Maguire. Sergio Fletcher on his GPWC debut is in 9th position. And Matthias Moos, P10. Sorry for the slight wiggle as we started to a driver who wasn't really on a flying lap anymore. Thomas Harvey, P11, Zolt Schukes, P12, then Stein Handgraf, Owen McGorgy. Owen McGorgy's back, look at that. Daniel Stepkowski, P15, then Arda Erkan, Pascal Polens, Jukka-Pekka Laulu, Dylan Fisher, and Heigo Poom. The reason, of course, I bring up Owen McGorgy, he was at the last race, but I wasn't sure if that was going to be a one-off or not. But he has now won the FSR Championship, so has time to donate to GPWC. Dennis Urban, 21st on the grid, then Moritz Krop, George Zalagianis, Tomasz Vok, Philip Pushke, Isfang Singhal, and Sandeep Singh. And we still miss one car. And
It's
I'll
the
try.
second Zortax.
Second Zortax. Okay, thank you for updating me on that.
Yes.
All right, well, that's the qualifying session. I'll quickly check to see if we have any penalties outstanding for anyone or anything like that, but that should be how it stands. And yeah, pretty close one, Ryan.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think there'll only be one penalty that'll impact this race, and that's Moritz Krop with a 5th place grid penalty for this one. There's a few outstanding ones for other people who just aren't here on this occasion. But yeah, Panzer got, I'm not going to say lucky, but Schluter left it late, and he very nearly did it there. That was quite a lap. It certainly surprised me when I saw that that gap and the way that he jumped up.
Yeah.
Not too sure why Sandeep Singh didn't go out as well. That was another weird one. He sat in the pits almost the entire session.
Yeah, Vincent Gutt says, I think Sandeep crashed, not doing any laps, and it showed him as slow in my tool. So, potentially an accident for Sandeep Singh.
Oh.
You can only... Oh, talking of accidents, something happening down at the chicane. But yeah, of course, you can only go out if you have returned to the pits naturally. You can't teleport your way back to the pits in the event of an accident or anything like that. I'm not seeing that Moritz Krop has a penalty. Where did you get that?
Am I? Yeah? Yeah?
Does he? Where does it say that? Because it's not saying that on the site, on the disciplinary sheet, so it must have been forgotten there, or...
I'm under the Italian Grand Prix. When you click on the race, it tells you the list of outstanding penalties.
Okay, well that's probably more reliable.
Maybe the website hasn't been updated, who knows?
Yeah, that is probably more reliable. I have to admit, I don't know why he has a penalty. I haven't... That's the first I've heard of that, but there you go. In terms of previous winners of this race, it's only Jarl Tyen and Philip Pushke. Philip Pushke won it back in 2015. Jarl Tyen won it last year. And there are some really interesting names on this list of previous winners that I'm looking at here. Obviously, we've had former champions Yannick Bock, Stefan Rohr won it in the championship winning years. Fabio Sixter's won it. He's not on the grid this year, is he? No, not this time out. He's another one, kind of like Jarl Tyen, where you never quite know if he's going to be here or not. Rudy Van Buren, world's fastest gamer, won it back in 2017. And if you look far enough back, you get the strange addition of a certain William Panisi, who of course is the GPWC, basically the GPWC owner. And this was his only Super League victory. Yes, Will Panisi has a GPWC Super League win all the way back in 2008.
That's the one name that was standing out to me as well in that list. Also, I'm pretty sure I've seen him in the YouTube chat, Flo Gaia as well.
Indeed.
Has he been typing in the YouTube chat or am I lying? I'm not too sure. But yeah, he was also another winner. Like these traditional tracks have always got a huge history. When you look back at some of the names and how many Grand Prix we've had around here. The first race here was in 2000. It was before I was born.
Yep. Before I was born as well, won by a certain man called Thomas Kimmich, who I've never heard of in my life. So
I feel like I have heard that name, but I'm probably making it up.
He was second. Oh, he was the first ever Grand Prix winner in Super League, apparently, winning the Italian. Wow. So the Italian Grand Prix 2000 was apparently the first official World Championship Super League race. How interesting! Yeah. But there you go.
Also only a half an hour race, 38 minutes.
Yeah, you got things like that back in those days. But yes, talking of people in the YouTube chat, David Fidog here says, isn't Moritz's penalty from Austria still under appeal? Potentially. I think he was racing under appeal, wasn't he? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Ed Hunter says, I've beaten Will in GPWC Day go-karting, so I've beaten a Super League winner. Maybe I'm in the wrong profession. Well, I could say the same thing, because I too have beaten Will Benisi. Sorry, Will.
I'm the only one here who hasn't.
Ed says, man, these two commentators making me feel old as a 90s kid. Well, we will get older, my friend. Nah, it's okay. The 90s wasn't that long ago, I think. I wouldn't know. I don't remember it. McGorky's in the YouTube chat. That's strange. Aren't you supposed to be on track, Owen? I think he is now. He probably just dropped in between sessions. Alex Lahoo's here, Superleague Championship winner, Isaac Morris. We've got Rep F1. I can't remember who that is, but I know it's a driver. Menno, it's Menno, of course it's Menno. Talking of Menno, Adonis Engineering are doing decently today, but they do have a brand new driver, Sergio Fletcher, and Janos Brachok has vacated his seat so that Fletcher can drive, and Janos is actually in the YouTube chat. So yeah, that's interesting. Thanks for watching along, even if you aren't competing. Yamadoc's there as well. David Fidock says, try being an 80s kid. Okay. Ed Hunter says, thanks, Caitlin. To be fair, the Cub Scouts I manage make me feel far older than you do. Oh, yes, that'll do it, won't it? Well, how do you think I feel racing in Formula Sprint 2? I mean, first time I raced in Formula Sprint 2, I was 18, I think. Nowadays, there are 14-year-olds winning races. We had, who was it? There was a driver who... There was Chris Desfilo, that was it. Thanks, Vincent. Chris Desfilo won the second race at Silverstone, and I think he's like 14 years old. Absolutely insane. But there you go. Like I said, we all get older, and just see it as experience, you know? We've had life experience, we've had race experience. David Fidock's still using it to his advantage. You know, getting older is not a horrible thing, especially not when it's, you know, something like GPVWC. GPVWC is old, but we could call it prestigious, you know? That sounds way better.
So much nicer way of putting it, isn't it?
I've just seen the GPVWC YouTube chat putting in a prediction. Who will win? Robin Panzer, Mark Schluter, Jan Grankvist, or other? Keep in mind that if you select other, you have at least 24 more chances to win. However, they are less likely chances, so it kind of balances out. That's an interesting one. I personally, I'm not going to bet against Jan Grankvist. I know he's third on the grid. I know that he's not driving at his most comfortable because he isn't using the sim rig that he would like to be using today. But I still think Grankvist has the edge just in terms of pure driving ability. You know, he's 74 points clear in the championship. He's probably going to be champion this year. And if he can win this race, considering the circumstances, I think this might be one of his best wins. Ed Hunter says, I'm torn on who I want to win this one, Robin or Mark. Okay, that's a different thing, I suppose. You can have drivers who you root for, and you can have drivers who you actually predict are going to do well. Luke Mitchell says, Carl Tyan will win. Who is Carl? Jarl Tyan, of course that's what you meant, Luke. I understand. Isaac Murray says, I remember our days as teammates, Caitlin. Yes, that was in Formula Sprint 2, 2020, I think. No, 2021. It was Nova Finlandia. 2021. Welcome in, Isaac. Good to see you. Ryan, what do you think about this race? Robin, Mark, Jan, or someone else entirely? Sorry, Ryan sent me a message that's... Sorry, I should have seen this. I've just checked Discord. He sent a message saying, BRB need the loo. So that will be where Ryan is right now. Yes, my apologies. We're currently watching Tom Stevens out on track, winner of the last Grand Prix in Belgium. He won it by just 1/10 of a second. Specifically, it was 0.111. One of the closest races that I've ever seen in Super League. I'd love to know the stats, actually, if they are keeping track of what the closest Super League finish ever has been, because that's got to be up there. Being that close together after after an hour and 19 minutes of racing is really, really impressive. And Jarl Tyan, of course, was third in that particular race. So we're tying 4th on the grid, and having won this race a year ago, I definitely can see the appeal of voting for him to win this race. We've got people in the chat cheering on Sergio Fletcher as well in his GPWC debut. Last time someone made a debut in GPWC, I think, was Dennis Urban at the British Grand Prix earlier this year. The most important thing, of course, is to finish your Super League debut. If you can't do that, then you can't score points, and you can only build up from there. It's not as common as you might think, actually, finishing your first Super League Grand Prix. These cars are very difficult to handle, and they, especially at this circuit, because they're really pushing the setups. They're trying to run as little wing as they possibly can. They're trying to make the cars a little bit aggressive, and as a result of that, definitely expect to see a couple of incidents today. There are always some, despite these drivers being very, very capable. Nocturne there, sporting a lovely pink livery. Nocturne and their sister team, THR, have a history of raising awareness for breast cancer research and supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which I don't think is till October, is it? So a little early for that, but even so, I presume that's why the car is painted pink for this weekend. And into the gravel and into the wall goes Jarl Tyen, and that's just because the session is over and it doesn't matter much at all. You don't get any penalties for crashing deliberately in the warm-up session or anything like that. I think he just wanted to have a bit of fun. But anyway, the checkered flag is out. Just a couple of minutes to go now until the start of the Grand Prix. It'll be 53 laps. It should theoretically be the fastest Grand Prix of the year, because this is the fastest average speed circuit, and it's the same length as any other Grand Prix, with the exception... Actually, no, it's the same length of any other Grand Prix, because we don't go to Monaco anymore. Used to be, with the exception of Monaco, which was a bit shorter. And there is the circuit on the calendar. The rather famous Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. There has been racing here since the 1920s. You used to have a big banked oval, which could be run as part of a combined layout, or it could be run on its own. And that banked oval is still mostly there. It's preserved, even though it's not raced on anymore. And there are still sim racing events out there which will sometimes bring out the old oval just for the fun of it. You can't really do that in real life, but sim racing is a different ballgame entirely. After this round, we'll have been 3/4 of the way through the season. We'll be into the final act, as it were, and the countdown to crowning a champion, presumably Jan Granqvist, but still a little bit of time to go before we can say that with certainty. Welcome to everyone who's just joining us now after qualifying. I'm Caitlin Penny. I will be joined by Ryan Elliott when he's got back from the toilet. And the broadcast director is Vincent Gutt. For the first time in a few Grand Prix, actually, Vincent's been out there racing. We're just lining up on the starting grid now, and then we will be underway for a formation lap. One last lap of the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza before we go at it in anger for about an hour and a quarter. And we'll run you through the grid as soon as we can, as soon as we get the full order. And we'll have to keep an eye on the tyres that people are starting on as well. The top 15 have to start on the tyres that they qualified on, so soft compound tyres. Everyone else behind them has a choice, and it's up in the air as to what they're actually going to be going for. So here we go. Let's get the grid order up on the screen. This is how they will start. Robin Panzer will go from pole position, Mark Schluter in second position, then Jan Granqvist, championship leader, P3, and Jarl Tyen, last year's winner of this Grand Prix, is P4. Fifth, Carlos Martin. Sixth, Tom Stevens. Seventh, Jeffrey Fournier. Eighth, Adam Maguire. Adam Maguire, still the top driver in the championship, yet to have won a race, although he has won races in previous years. Sergio Fletcher on his debut, P9. Matthias Moos, P10. Then Thomas Harvey and Zolt Schukes. Schukes doing well for the Stax Racing team, who are still yet to score a point. Stein Hangraf P13, then Owen Magorgi, Daniel Stepkowski, and Arda Erkan. Magorgi really struggled at the last Grand Prix in Belgium. He's got a point to prove. Pascal Pollens P17, then Jukka-Pekka Lally, Dylan Fisher, and Heigo Poom, the two aka Hero cars lining up side by side on the 10th row of the grid. Dennis Urban 21st, then Moritz Kropp, who doesn't appear to have had a penalty applied, so he may still be racing under appeal. Then it's George Zalagianis and Tomasz Rock. Philip Pushke, Istvan Singel, and Sandeep Singh. We're missing one Zortax and two TX3s, and that is a big shame indeed. We are rejoined by Ryan Elliott. That's how the grid will stand out. What are you looking for at the start of this one?
Oh, I'm looking for a big send in turn 1. You know, it's Monza, and we've seen it so many times before that people think it can be won in turn 1. Hey, I think it'll get spicy. We'll find out.
Well, it happened in Formula Sprint 1. There was a driver who took the lead going into the first corner and then immediately outbraked himself and spun. So it can absolutely happen. There's a famous clip, of course, of Tonio Liuzzi slewing across the grass on the inside here and then taking out several drivers in one go. Robin Panzer is not starting this race on hard tyres, so that graphic will be slightly unrealistic. Unless he is, in which case he has somehow managed to break the rules. All drivers have to start on their qualifying compound, and I would have noticed if he qualified on the hard rubber. Looks like the top driver on mediums, if you can trust that, is Arda Erkan in 16th position. And then I think there were one or two drivers on hards a little bit further back, possibly Dennis Urban. Okay, so look for the lights. There will be 5 red lights, and when they go out, we will be underway for 53 laps of racing here at the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. The lights still yet to illuminate, but here they come. 3, 4, 5, and it's go. Look for Robin Panzer. Does he get off the line? Well, I think Schluter's still alongside him, actually. Schluter's got the better start. Mark Schluter will be on the inside, heading up to turn 1. He does take the lead. Jarl Tyen taking a look, and look, Panzer came back at him, but was run out to dry. Granqvist maintains P3 on the inside, and Jarl Tyen's great start seems to have been reeled in somewhat. Now we head up through the Curva Grande towards the second chicane. This Del Roggia chicane, Tyen taking another look, having to fend off the TOP Esports car behind him now, Carlos Martin. On the exit of the corner, I think everyone's still running. I don't see any chaos at the back, that's good to see. And the order is still Schluter, Panzer, Granqvist, Tyen, and Martin after the first few corners. Ryan, great to see them still nice and clean.
Yeah, it was a big lunge from Panzer. I thought he was going to wipe out Schluter when he tried to retake the lead, but they both managed to come out safe and sound so far. Magorgi now coming through the middle part of the circuit. No DRS yet as well, obviously. Need to wait another lap or so for that, but it's all looking fairly clean. Are we going to see any lunges into the final turn?
I wouldn't recommend it because you've got a long straight to slipstream your way down after this. If you do make an overtake here, you're then vulnerable to the chasing pack behind. You'll probably see a bit of snaking here where one driver moves over to break the toe of the cars behind, and then everyone else follows them just to make sure they're not missing out. Side by side, George Zalagianis nearly 3 wide there with Tomasz Vok and Sandeep Singh in the Epic racing car, but they all get through. Schluter continues to lead from Panzer, Granqvist, Tyen, and Martins. Tom Stevens is in 6th position with Adam Maguire in P7, so the THRs running together on the track now. Sergio Fletcher's lost a place, but still running in the top 10, so a decent start for Sergio Fletcher to his GPVWC Super League career. DRS will be enabled from the 3rd lap of the race, so after this lap, we'll cross the start-finish line, and then the next time they head down the straight that you're looking at now, the drivers within 1 second of the car in front of them will be able to open the DRS flap and use the slipstream, use the wind brake to get themselves up alongside the car in front of them and potentially past. Someone running wide in the background there, it was one of the Powered by RSRs. through the final corner they go, the Curva Parabolica, or the Curva Alboreto to give it its official name. And across the start-finish line they go. Schluter with a new best lap time, but not quite quick enough to get away from Panzer just yet. Panzer should still get DRS as they head up. Well, I think the first DRS zone is down towards the Variante Ascari. And I'm surprised by how few changes there were on the start-finish straight that last time around. I was really expecting Slipstream Central to take place, but I think we're getting a bit of a Slipstream train here, where the drivers in front have the legs, have the ability to hold off the drivers behind, and so everyone's kind of getting bunched up and not having time to spread out, Ryan.
Yeah, it's all been quite tame so far. There has been a few movers up and down the grid. Arda Erkan's gained quite a few positions on that opening lap. But obviously DRS is going to kick in. I thought we would have seen a bit more push to pass going on, especially on that first lap when there was no DRS. But yeah, everyone's thinking better of it. There's a long way to go. Still don't want to waste it all in the early laps. But all being fairly sensible from everybody so far. People just wanting to settle into the rhythms early on. I'm sure we'll already start to see a bit of a DRS train or two forming.
Yeah,
and all
well, the
it'll
DRS
take is one lunge and it'll split them up.
The DRS is active now. You saw the DRS boards by the side of the road. Looks like the biggest winners at the start were Moritz Kropp and Arda Erkan, both up 4 positions each, and no real big losers. Only 2 positions lost for even the worst affected drivers at the start. So everyone's still clean. Heading on to the 4th lap of the race. Schluter still leads by only half a second over Robin Panzer, then Granqvist, Tyen and Martin. We're looking at Jeffrey Fournier running in 9th position. These cars do have push to pass as well, just to give them a little bit of extra boost. You only have a certain amount of it over the course of the race, and we're not able to tell. And Moritz Kropp's got off. We just saw a yellow flag, and Moritz Kropp has dropped to the back of the field, so I presume those two things were connected. And the Nocturne driver is the first driver to have potentially taken a knock. 27 cars in this race. Hopefully we still have all 27 remaining. If it's okay, Vince, could we see the tyres that everyone's on as well? Well, there is Moritz Kropp. Does he still have a front wing? No, he doesn't. So there's been an incident there. And Moritz Kropp retires from the race. So we've had our first retirement. He pulls over to the side. Obviously took a bit too much of an impact on that first incident of the race. But yes, it looks like the top driver on medium tyres is Arda Erkan, as we suggested. I'm not sure anyone is on the hard tyres. We'll take a look at the driver in 26. No one going for the hard tyres at the start. But yes, that just makes Erkan's start more impressive, because he's passed several drivers on these softer tyres there, which should theoretically be quicker in the early stages, Ryan.
Yeah, well, he's done already exactly what he probably wanted to do. So very, very impressive. But you know, looking a bit relaxed for now. I'm waiting for something big to happen. But the thing with tracks like this is all it takes is one move, and we start getting a few different DRS trains instead of one big one. And see a replay here of what's happening. Moritz Kropp gone for the move, and
that Hygo Poom.
Just clip the back of one of the AK Hero cars, wasn't it?
It's interesting. I think if he'd held the brakes, he could have avoided losing his front wing there. He would have had a little touch into the wall, but it wouldn't have been too severe. And yeah, I think that is Hygo Poom there, who he gets up alongside, locks wheels with, and then goes into the barriers. I see what he was trying to do. I knew he could tell that if he had locked his wheels up, he would have been stuck in the corner. He'd have had to reverse out. But I think he'd have kept his front wing. But anyway, now look at Jarl Tyen all over the back of our championship leader, Jan Granqvist. Goes to the inside. Slightly late, but he's got the inside line and does go through into 3rd position. So that's the first change that we've seen since the first lap of the race in this front bunch. Jarl Tyen through into the top 3, and of course he finished 3rd last time out, so he is on a real run of form.
Yeah, it was really nice and tidy from Jarl. He hasn't lost too much time either. And if I'm Tom Stevens, I'm going, oh, there's only one car between me and my championship rival right now. Can't let that be Carlos Martin, the meat and the sandwich between them two.
Yeah, Thomas Harvey just ran across the runoff area in the background there, just caught him at the back of the shot, and he's lost a place to... Well, actually, he's dropped back behind Zolciuk, so I think he might have passed someone behind or off the road and then given the place back. We've also lost his teammate Istvang Singal, unfortunately, so stacks are now down to just one participant in this race, the team that is yet to score a point in this championship, who have really not been having a great year whatsoever, and Zolciuk's is their only opportunity for points on this particular occasion. Through to the end of the 6th lap of the race, on to lap 7. DRS open on the back of Panzer, Tyen, Grangfist, etc. Grangfist might not have it actually, but Robin Panzer still did, down into the first sequence of corners. A change further back, Matthias Moos is side by side with Fournier. This is a move from Fournier, but gets hung out to dry. Sergio Fletcher takes a look. Thomas Harvey loses another place there. Oh, McGorgy's cut the chicane, that's why. So McGorgy cuts the chicane, and he'll have to slot back into position, lets Thomas Harvey back through. Not the ideal start for Owen McGorgy, the winner of the Australian Grand Prix and the winner of the FSR World Championship this year. His return to GPVWC Super League hasn't quite been as fruitful, Ryan.
No, it's very difficult. The cars are so similar in terms of what the core principles are, but you know that they are different, and some people agree with one over the other. And you know, he is quick. We definitely know that in this car. He's proven that already, but maybe just struggling to readapt, having raced over in the other championship for the majority of this season. One person who isn't struggling to adapt though is Jarl Tyen. He's flying.
He is. Tyen is flying. Very good. I remember McGorgy said after the first 3 races that he wasn't really a big fan of this car. He said he'll race it if he has to, but it's not exactly his favourite. And that's why he chose to focus on FSR this year, despite having a real chance of challenging for the championship here. But he's back, he's finished his challenge over there, and he's decided that he wants to help his team out. And this time Fournier does get the move on Matthias Moos. There was a little wheel-to-wheel contact, but Fournier gets through okay in 8th position. And there is a former winner of this race and a former champion, Philip Pushkate, running in 25th position.
There's been a change.
And there has.
Tyen's ahead of Panzer.
So Jarl Tyen goes up into 2nd position. We were looking at Panzer chasing down Mark Schluter. He wasn't able to get through. And I'm afraid, I think Lalu's dropping down the order. Lalu in the Super Venturi. I saw another yellow flag, and Jukka-Pekka Lalu seems to have dropped to the back. Sorry, Vince. But yes, Jarl Tyen made the move for 2nd position. We might be about to see that, or we're about to see what happened to Lalu. And he spins by himself. He spins by himself on the entrance to the chicane. And good avoidance from everyone behind, who don't need to be asked twice to cut the chicane. But I think that's as good an excuse as any, because on that occasion, not cutting the chicane would have led to an accident. But yes, Jarl Tyen has gone through into 2nd place. Can he take the lead now? He'll open the DRS wide. He chases down Mark Schluter. He's very quick in a straight line. Look, he is going to get side by side with him, heading up to turn 1. There's a move in the background as well, but Tyen takes the lead. Now let's look at Tom Stevens on Jan Grangfist. Stevens he's to driver's right on the exit of the corner. He'll have the inside for Curva Grande. These are the top 2 in the Drivers' Championship going at it. Sparks flying from the back of the THR car up towards the Del Roger. He gets his nose in front. He does go through, and a big dive from Carlos Martin. And Martin makes the move stick as well. It's fair, but it's cheeky. Very cheeky indeed. Martin goes through, and Grangfist loses another place. This time Adam Maguire goes through. Grangfist has got really badly out of his rhythm, and he's dropped back from 3rd position all the way to P7, Ryan.
And I tell you what, Fournier is going to be smelling blood as well. He's gonna know that Jan's probably not in a great mindset right now after losing 4 positions there. I think Jeff might pounce any time soon. It's what can happen at a track like this. Just one, you know, we thought he'd hung on to it through to turn 1 and just lost out, and he lost another 2-3 places because of it. And like already Tyen going to the front as well was not what I expected from from this race, to be honest. It's not who I thought would be in the lead at lap 10.
And Tom Stevens. Stevens is going for a move. This is for third place. Stevens goes through. So I'm not sure he's thinking about points at this point in time, but he will be gaining some points back on his championship rival here. But Stevens through into third position. Sergio Fletcher continuing to run in P10. Long may that continue. It would be great to see a rookie finish in the top 10. And we are 10 laps into this race now, showing you just how quickly this goes by. Tom Stevens has made the move into to third position. Can Schluter stick with Yartine now, or is that Nocturne just too fast in the straight lines? It's clearly the straights where he's gaining the advantage. That's why he's finding it so much easier to overtake than the others, and it might be what gives him the advantage to pull away in as he heads under the bridge now in the lead of the race, Ryan.
Yeah, he's looking good at the front there, and he's looking a bit unchallenged for now. But you know, there's still plenty of time, still a bit of strategy to go, but he's looking comfortable, and we know that he's proven around this track and in good form as well right now. So yeah, let's keep an eye on it. I know Schluter will not want to let him get too far away.
A long string of cars going down the start-finish straight. DRS is wide open on Schluter and Stevens, and a look. Well, it's only a tentative look from Tom Stevens, a little bit speculative, but definitely on the aggressive right now, having got through Robin Panther, wants to go for Mark Schluter as well. Thomas Harvey is side by side with Stein Hangraf. He's been passed by Magorgi, and Hangraf hung out to dry. I've used that phrase a lot, but that's really what you've got to do through that second corner there. If you've got your nose in front and you've got the line, you can't force a driver off the track, but you can force them to check up. And that is how he was able to maintain that position there and stay in 14th position. Mark Schluter stays second, still has the DRS, but he's fractionally slower than Yartine at this point in time. May be fractionally slower than Stevens as well. And I think the big risk here is that if Tyne is able to break the DRS, Schluter will be a little bit vulnerable to Stevens behind him.
Yeah, that's the worry, isn't it? Is if one person gets away, it then turns into two separate packs, and that front driver can just clear off into the distance. But it's not looking too bad at the moment. There's still one massive DRS train when you look back. You know, that it's spanning over like what, say 5-6 seconds, but it's still a huge group of drivers, about 10 drivers in this train right now.
Yeah, it looks like the top driver who might not have DRS is possibly Arda Erkan in 11th place. And they're 3 wide further back. Dennis Urban, Sandeep Singh and George Salagianis. And is that a double overtake from Singh? Yes, it is. Quick as you like. Very nice. So Singh pulls off a double overtake with the advantage of the slipstream DRS and potentially push the pass, and gets himself up into 20th position. But remember, only the top 15 cars score points, so he'll need to improve on that before the end of the race if it's going to amount to something, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, we know Sandeep can definitely score points, and it's a long race ahead, so he's still got plenty of opportunity, and just slowly plucking them off. Best way to do it, really, instead of not having to take too much risk.
Through the chicane, the Ascari chicane, which is unique in that it's not a real heavy braking zone. It's a kind of medium length braking zone, followed by a couple of quick flicks, with the second of the 3 flicks being a lot longer than the others. Really tests your balance through there, and it's aside from the Curva Alboreto, it's the only corner that you really need the heavy downforce for. Now, and another look from Stevens. Still unable to get close enough for a real challenge on Mark Schluter, but he continues to show his nose to the rear-view mirrors of Mark Schluter's car. I use the word unsettle a lot, but that's what he's trying to do. Stepkowski and Zalagianis into the pits now. Drivers pitting around this stage in the race, you'd expect to go for a 2-stop strategy, but you have to remember the real world of Grand Prix racing this year, when Charles Leclerc pitted around this point in the race and then went the whole distance, seemingly on a whim. So you can leave yourself flexible to strategies like that. And I think some of these drivers will be going a bit longer, maybe trying to one-stop it. Like I said earlier, you lose a lot of time in the pits here. It's quite a long one and quite a slow one relative to the circuit. And so in a race this short, I think they'll all want to go for a one-stop strategy if they can, Ryan.
Yeah, it'll probably be the norm, but some people might want to try something very different. If you've got nothing to lose or you're not looking for championship points, you just want a good potential good result, and some people will definitely risk it. Is there going to be a move here from Tom Stevens? He's very close.
And this is his chance.
He's going to go for it.
Stevens goes for a proper attempt. He bashes into the side pod of Mark Schluter's car. No damage will come from that. He gets back into the slipstream now in the DRS. Zolt Schukes just past Adererkamp for 11th place as well, but we continue to watch Stevens and Schluter as they head to the braking zone for Del Rogia. This would need to be a real lunge. He doesn't go for it, but he makes Schluter think that he might. And Schluter fends off Tom Stevens this particular time around. Pretty good driving there. Thomas Harvey now side by side once again with Stein Hangraf. Hangraf going for the move on the outside, over the curb. Good to see them keeping it on the road. Sometimes you see drivers flying over that curb. There were some incidents there in the FS1 race. And Hangraf does hold off Thomas Harvey to get that 14th position. Nicely done. And actually a pretty good move all in all.
Yeah, another move that we've just slightly missed was Zolt Schukes as well.
Sorry,
has
Stevens.
gone up to P11.
Stevens is ahead of Schluter. Stevens is up to second place.
Clearly, yes, we've just missed Stevens as well.
Well, he'd have done that in the run down to Ascari, wouldn't he? I'm not sure. I didn't think he'd get enough of a run there, but I tell you what that has done. It's allowed Yartayan to break clear of the DRS. And now Stevens has it all to answer for, and he's got Robin Panzer coming through on Mark Schluter now. So Panzer up the inside, heading towards turn 1, trying to get third place back. And they are absolutely side by side, and he's going to nearly get turned around. There was wheel-to-wheel contact. Nearly pushed him around for a loop, but Panzer maintains it and gets that third position. So a couple of changes on that lap. Schluter drops from second to fourth position. Might drop to fifth here. Carlos Martin up the inside. We've seen him go for some bold moves into this chicane today, but that one's not going to work, and he'll be vulnerable to Adam Maguire soon. Whoa, what a sequence of events there. And Maguire does go for a dive, a very late one. They lock wheels, they get away with it, and he's still alongside on the exit, and he does get through into fifth place. Another very brave one, little bit cheeky, gets through into fifth position. Carlos Martin, who was the hunter, becomes the hunted. Jan Grankvist, I almost forgot he was in this race now, is attacking Adam Maguire, attacking Carlos Martin for that sixth position. And Stevens is nearly back within DRS range of Tyan. Maybe it's not all over in these early stages, but yeah, what a sequence of events.
Got to be using push to pass. Got to be.
And he's back within DRS range. I wonder how Stevens managed that and how he passed Schluter off screen.
Yeah, I mean, all it took was one overtake, and it's really started to split this pack up now. There's some gaps really starting to form, and Stevens does have the DRS range now. He's back under that 1 second mark, which he'll be over the moon with, but I think he might use up some push to pass to get there. Gorgie thinks better of it on Adererkamp as well, who, like I was saying, has gone back a position, but he'll still be happy with where he is on that medium tyre versus these guys.
And here's a replay. Let's see what this is of. And it's Mark Schluter's, well, this is Tom Stevens' overtake. It'll be down into Ascari, where I suggested. Sometimes it's actually quite a difficult place to overtake, because even though it's a long straight, you find yourself off the line through here, and you can really bunch yourself up with the pack behind. That's why they lost the second to Yartayan, but he was able to make the move, and is now catching up to the sister car, of course, Nocturne and THR, part of the same broader squad, despite being two separate team entries on the entry list. And there's a move in the background there. We've got Hangraf and Harvey going at it again. So Harvey must have got back past Hangraf, and it swapped places the other way yet again. Good little scrap. Dylan Fisher getting involved there, P16, and Pascal Pullance on their tail. Fisher to the inside, trying to break into the points-paying positions. Does get through, but remember there's a DRS zone coming up. And through, we've got Adam Maguire into 4th place. So Adam Maguire up into 4th. Schluter loses another position. That was a relatively straightforward one on the straight with the DRS. Thomas Harvey's losing out to Pascal Pollens. Pollens goes through to P16. So Fischer was able to hold off his, or hold his position, hold on to P15. And Pollens was able to take advantage of it as well. Meanwhile, Stevens is within 0.7 of a second of Tyan, or he was across the start-finish line that last time around. And that's important for him. If he was using push-to-pass, that does make sense. Because, yes, he won't have as much push-to-pass to use when he gets into battles in the future in this race, but it does mean that he's maintained that DRS from Jarl Tyan's car, and as a result will be able to keep up at an easier pace. So Tom Stevens using it to his advantage, and even if he doesn't attack now, he'll still gain just because he's keeping up with Jarl Tyan, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, going off topic a little bit, if you'd have asked me if Tom Stevens and Jarl Tyan would be 1-2, I wouldn't have guessed it. They've done a fantastic job. As somebody there peeled into the pits in the background. Who was
Fletcher.
that? It's Fletcher.
And
yeah.
through, and Maguire goes through to 3rd place. So THR have 2 cars in the top 3, and the THR Nocturne wider organisation have their cars in 1st, 2nd and 3rd positions. Of course, the other car, unfortunately, Moritz Kropp, dropped out earlier on, but the 3 remaining cars are doing a great job in the early stages. So we saw Fletcher coming into the pits that last time around, and that could indicate the start of a wider pit window. Magorgi, running 11th, has got past Arda Erkan since last time we saw him. And I tell you what, Maguire's looking pretty quick in the straights as well. The Nocturnes and THRs. I wonder if there's been a bit of setup sharing there. I know they both work quite closely with Jack West and a couple of other people who are able to develop their car. Tom Ely as well, to develop their cars quite well. And at Monza, you want to go for the straight line speed, so it does make a lot of sense. It's why I was surprised when I found out that Fournier, Grankvist and Lalu were running second-hand engines. Here is Jeffrey Fournier, but Grankvist and Fournier especially seem to be keeping up quite well. Pansar, Schluter and Martin all in the pits now. Fournier is in, Matthias Moos is in, the pit window is well and truly open, and I expect them to potentially go for hard tyres and then run to the end of the race here. And yep, those are the hard tyres. You can tell by the white wall, the white ring around the rubber, and that will take them through to the end of the race, providing they play their cards right. Out of the pits they go. Through goes Jukka-Pekka Lalu, but that's not for position. Tomasz Vok is through as well. Oh, pretty close there. Very close between Lalu and Robin Pansar on the exit. This will be costing Pansar time. It'll be costing Schluter as well. And I think there's been an incident for Arda Erkan, who dropped a couple of places there. Arda Erkan dropped down the order as there was a yellow flag. And a couple of moves being made, and Lalu is demoted by Pansar, by Schluter, and by Carlos Martin. They all get through at the same time, very importantly for the drivers behind. And how much time have they lost, if any? And how will this affect the race once Tyan, Stevens, etc. make their pit stops side by side? Martin and Jeffrey Fournier. So
I think that was a missing wing on Erkan's car as well, sorry.
Yeah, well, I said he'd had an incident, so that would make sense. Maguire and Grankvist are in the pits that time around, so that was Tyan and Stevens continuing to lead. And here's a replay of what happened to Arda Erkan. He's racing with Owen Magorgi. I don't think Magorgi's going to be involved. And Erkan spins by himself and hits the barriers. So that's what's caused Arda Erkan to make that pit stop. It'll be an unscheduled pit stop because he started on the medium tyres. So he would have been hoping to go longer than that, and that is a shame for Arda Erkan. But there are more cars in the pits anyway. Hangraf, Koom, Erkan, of course, with that missing front wing. Now, where has everyone come out? We're looking for Adam Maguire. P6. Okay, so he's got out cleanly ahead of Panzer, Grankvist, Schluter. And side by side, Tomasz Vogt there being demoted by a bunch of quicker cars who have made their pit stops. This is Fletcher looking for a move around the outside, ducks to the inside, does get thrown out. I'm interested to see that not only has Maguire got out ahead of this bunch, but he's put 2 cars between himself and Panzer here. I really think that Panzer got held up in the melee of cars he came out in. Into the pits, the top 2, Tyan and Stevens, both make their stops. Will Fisher stay out and lead this race, or will Jarl Tyan and Stevens, well, where will they come out in relation to these other cars? There is a lot of traffic further down the order. Tom Stevens goes up, goes down. Looks to be about the same length of stop, maybe slightly quicker for Jarl Tyan. And there, who's that coming down the straight? This could be important. And that's Maguire. So Maguire gets through. Maguire is splitting Stevens and Tyan. So Tyan will lead this race in the net order, followed by Maguire, who has jumped Tom Stevens. Maguire, I think, the biggest winner in that pit window. He jumped Stevens. He got away quite considerably from Robin Panzer. And I think the likes of Fletcher may have pitted a bit too early there. Just came out in way too much traffic and cost himself some time, Ryan.
Very well. What a strategy and what a setup from these THR Nocturne cars. They are absolutely flying, and they've just pulled a fantastic strategy off. They've now got 2-3 lap pressure tyres. Obviously Maguire doesn't, but Jarl and Stevens, I mean, it's ideal for them, isn't it? They've just got to relax now and just drive their own race.
Indeed. I'm looking at the YouTube chat. Luke Mitchell says Jarl is the man. Well, he has been so far. Matthias Pishan says Jarl won here last year as well, right? Yes, he did. It was his first race in over a year. Came in and won it. Talking of coming in, Dylan Fisher is in the pits from the lead, so Pascal Pollens will get his time to shine. Goes through to lead the race. Although that is only until he makes his pit stop. Everyone needs to. Jan Grankvist goes past Mark Schluter on that straight, so that's a move for position there. Jan Grankvist getting past Mark Schluter into P7. And there's Carlos Martin. But yes, an important one for Jan Grankvist there, who had a rather anonymous start to the race, but seems to be getting back into it after the pit stop, as Dennis Urban goes for a move on George Zalagianis and gets P21, Ryan.
Yeah, steady away for Dennis, just keeping it clean in what is his second Superleague race? I think he said it was.
Dennis Urban?
Just doing a good job, yes.
Yes, his first was at the British Grand Prix.
Yes, so just doing exactly what he needs to do as a stand-in driver.
Yeah, 2 drivers in their second races today, Arda Erkan being the other, and 1 driver in his first race, with that being Sergio Fletcher. So even this late on in the season, we're still getting some new faces popping up. You do sometimes get that as drivers are potentially away on holiday, or if we have disconnections and issues for other drivers. Pascal Pollens is into the pits, so Sandeep Singh leads the race. I think our 5th or 6th different leader of this race technically, although I don't think that tells exactly the full story of this race. Sandeep Singh in the Epic Racing car today. He has raced for Edge Esports in the past, among other teams. Jarl Tyan is P2, but will probably lead the race, and is not yet able to break the DRS from Maguire or Stevens behind. And in fact, Robin Panzer still has it as well, so there will be a bit more DRS training when these drivers get back to the lead of the race. There is Robin Panzer, Adonis Engineering, winner of last year's Belgian Grand Prix. Hasn't had the most consistent of times in Super League. It's really strange, where sometimes you'll see Panzer fighting right up at the pointy end, and sometimes he just won't show up. And I mean that as in his performance won't show up. He'll still make the races, but got involved in a little bit of chaos here a couple of years ago. He when he was racing for Burst Esports. There was a bit of controversy as his teammate caused a couple of accidents and ended up leaving the series after that. That was one of the causes for Burst Esports leaving the series at the end of that particular year. Not the best memories of that particular race, but luckily it's been a much cleaner one today. By Magorgi P13 slipstreaming past Zolt Shukes, does get through, and I think that is genuinely for position there. Zolt Shukes has been running a pretty good race, especially for the Stax Esports team. That's statistically the worst performing team on the grid. They've only had a best result of 16th place, scored by by Zolt Shukes at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix earlier this year. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, which bizarrely has the San Marino flag on the standing sheet that I'm looking at, obviously in deference to the old name of the San Marino Grand Prix. So, out through the Ascari chicane they go once again. They might have to pass Sandeep Singh on the road here, actually, considering they're about to catch him. And that depends on when or if Sandeep Singh makes his pit stop. Does he come in this lap? Yes, he does. So he saw the chasing pack in his mirrors, thought, I don't really want a part of this. And Jarl Tyen retakes the lead of the race. It's Tyen leading, followed by Maguire, Stevens, Pansar, Grangfist, Schluter, Martin, Fournier, Fletcher and Moose. And then the rest of the drivers in the points as it stands are Magorgi, Jukes, Stepkovsky, Handgraf and Fischer. An exciting situation we've got now with this long DRS train involving pretty much the whole of the top 10. Wow, it's everyone down into 8th position, nearly 9th place as well. And we're not even halfway through the race yet. Ryan, I know it's been a bit of a slow burner so far, but you have to say it's not over yet, and we cannot call this one.
Not over yet. There's still only a 5-second gap covering the top 9. Like, I thought it was all going to spread out, and now look, everyone's come back together. The top 3 have been ever so slightly reeled in. I'd definitely say they have been reeled in by Panzer, and Granquist slowly starting to come back into this as well. I didn't expect it to be this tight after them pit stops. I thought it was really starting to spread out, especially when there was a couple of cars at one point between the Tory and Panzer and Granquist. So yeah, it's looking spicy. I'm excited.
Yeah, they carve through the traffic like a hot knife through butter. Or since we're in Italy, I suppose we should say like a pizza wheel through pizza. There's Stein Handgraf DRSing up to Daniel Stepkovsky. That's now an adverb, I decided. Or a verb, sorry. And to the outside he goes. That will give him the inside for the next corner. And he gets through before Curvagrande, which is important, because if he hadn't, then Stepkovsky would have had the inside for that third corner of the lap. We've got sparks flying from the titanium skid plates. Virtual titanium skid plates, nearly rubbing wheels there. And there was a little bit of contact. Front end plate to rear wheel. In real life, that's where you sometimes see punctures. Side by side, Dylan Fisher getting involved, going up into P14, so taking advantage of that. Sometimes in these races, the best thing you can be is opportunistic, seeing the drivers ahead of you battling and thinking, right, now's my chance, sticking your nose in, because they might not expect you, and even if they do, they might not have anything to say to you. So that's how you make up positions in this one, and that's why Dylan Fisher is now up into 14th position.
I was a little bit surprised to see Dylan just, especially in qualifying, down that end. He's had a really good season. I was thinking he'd be a little bit higher, like kind of where he is now. But that's the whole point in the race, you know. They only get the points from the race, not from the qualifying, and he's improving up 5 places.
He qualified 19th position for this one. He was alongside his teammate on the grid. And a new fastest lap there for Sandeep Singh, who we saw pitting later than most. And that makes sense, actually, because obviously he's made his pit stop and he's gone onto a fresh set of tyres, and he's done that I mean, everyone's done that, but he's done that with a lighter fuel load than most. And are those soft tyres as well? So that's interesting. Singh may be going for a two-stop strategy. Those look like softs to me. You can see on the screen he's up 9 positions from his starting place. But if he is going for a two-stop strategy, then that might end up being a little bit academic. Out of the Ascari chicane go the leaders yet again. It is 8 for the lead at the halfway point in this race, with a 9th really not so far off, Sergio Fletcher. Can you imagine if he gets involved in this battle as well? That would be fantastic stuff. Up to the start-finish line to start the 28th lap out of 53, so we're over the halfway point in this race now, only just. And still plenty to come if this is anything to go by.
Just looking at that DRS train is just hilarious. We're over halfway through and it's still that close. It's incredible.
Yeah, it looks like the second lap of the race out there. Sandeep Singh, yet another fastest lap on the race, despite the fact he overtook Haigo Poom that last time around. So he is still absolutely going for it. You do get a point for fastest lap, but only if you can finish in the top 15, which Singh would not do if he was to finish like this or make another pit stop. But he would, of course, take that point away from anyone else, because the wording of the rules are such that it's not the fastest driver in the top 15 who gets a point, it's the fastest driver if they're in the top 15 who gets a point. And we very often see fastest lap points being handed out to no one at all. I've seen championships decided like that in the past. Wouldn't that be something if we got to the last race and someone was on course to win a championship and then a backmarker was like, actually, I fancy snatching the fastest lap point, and it swung the whole thing. Because that is theoretically possible, and it would be very funny, but also probably quite painful for some people. As the leaders now, we're separated by less than 0.4 of a second across the line that time. Very good. So Ryan, we're over halfway through this race now. A DRS train of 8 different cars, both THRs are in it. Although, interesting to see a bit of a mix of teams other than that. Pretty much everyone has had a shot at winning this race today. Every team has thrown their hat in the mix. And we like to see that really, because even though the teams do develop their cars as the season goes along, they are based on the same chassis. And even though the engines are developed as well, it's all basically the same thing. And sometimes you get different strengths and weaknesses that just sort of even themselves out, and you end up with 7 different constructors in the top 8.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, like you say, the upgrades available are all the same. It's just that which percentage you get it at, for depending on how you've worked out your strategy, how good your staff are as well, and your designers and stuff like that. And yet all them different variables, and we're still looking at that. Like you described it, it looks like lap 2 out there, and I'm just waiting for something to happen. It's all looking fairly tame, everyone's taking the time for now, but all it takes is one person to drop a hang grenade in there, make one overtake, and all of this could get thrown up in the air. But I don't think it's going to come from our top 3. They don't want to overtake because the people behind are too close. Even if they do like a let them by, you're still going to put that person at risk. So, you know, y'all's doing a good job for now, but they just need to really, really think about how they're going to manage this.
Yeah, I would have described it as looking like lap 1, but the difference is that they're not side by side at this point in time. It's a lot like a NASCAR race on a super speedway, where it's very easy to slipstream someone and very easy to keep up. But then what do? You know, everyone's going at the same speed. They're limited to using the same amount of power. Of course, in NASCAR they have a restrictor plate. Here they don't necessarily. They have upgrades that they can use, but they're all based on the same chassis. So when everyone's doing exactly the same thing with more or less the same machinery, what do you do differently that gives you the edge? The advantage, of course, comes in making fewer mistakes and playing it a bit more intelligently. But it's easy to see that qualifying does matter here. Thomas Harvey up into 19th place now, going through on Daniel Stepkowski, up into 17th place rather, and just 2 places outside of the points. Shame for Stepkowski though, normally a bit more of a feature in these races, are the 2 powered by RSR cars. I have a feeling this is not a track that is suiting them today. I'm sorry to say that while in the commentary box with you, Ryan, but you know, team manager hat off, commentary hat on.
Yeah, one of them. We wanted rain today. I think that would have spiced it up a bit more for us personally, but yeah, not even being a threat of it really. I know a lot of people were worried about it coming into this race, but it's been dry so far.
I always hope for rain personally when I get to these races. I think obviously it's good that not every race is raining, because then you'd expect it, but when it does come out of nowhere, it's very exciting. And as a driver as well, I really enjoy racing in the rain. I know not a lot of people do, and I always feel like a bit of a traitor, because you get to a wet race and everyone in the chat's going, no, turn that weather off, and I'm just there like, yes, this is good. But you know, I guess their loss is my gain. And powered by RSR will be feeling that way today as well. There's Zolt Shukes. And sometimes Gadona from Stacks, Christian Zerner, will message me and say, don't talk about us today, you're going to jinx us. And that seems to have happened a few times this season, even though I'm not superstitious. I was complimenting their performance in Spain, and then whoever it was who was going to score their first points of the season ended up spinning off and crashing about 2 laps from the end. I was pretty gutted about that one. And on this occasion, touching metaphorical wood, they are running in 12th position, which would be a point scoring position. They'd need to score 9 points in order to overtake Pescara ADG, who haven't scored points since the 2nd round of the championship, but they'd certainly get themselves on the scoreboard, which is an important start. And there's still a few more rounds to go in this season, with which they can challenge. And with a couple of cars missing from this race as well, you've got to say this is potentially their best shot of points for a good long while. But Pescara ADG, I was excited by the prospect of Thomas Harvey doing well at the start of the race. He was running inside the top 15 for a good while, and then made a couple of mistakes and dropped back. So there's no Pescaras in the top 15 at this point at what is one of their home races, Ryan.
Yeah, Thomas has been making his way back up though. Obviously we saw him get past Daniel, and now he's put a gap on Daniel as well. He's just got to hunt down a few more cars ahead of him, and he can get a point out of this, I think. And heaps of things flying through as well. Obviously on the much fresher rubber than all the people around him, but if, as we expect, he's going to have to stop again, with him being on the soft tyre at the moment, he's going to have to push as hard as he can, basically, if he wants any chance of getting points. Obviously he's there right now, but he's going to have an extra pit stop for most other people. But yeah, it's all just a bit too quiet for my liking. 20 laps to go. Something's got to happen soon, hasn't it? There hasn't even been a move from any of the guys behind in the pack, let alone the top 3.
So Tyan continues to lead, followed by Maguire, Stevens, Pansar, Grangfist, Schluter, Martin, Fournier, Fletcher and Moose. Someone pits, Stepkowski. So a 2-stop strategy for the powered by RSR car. I realised before the race I was talking a lot about the Drivers' Championship, but there are a few interesting things on the Team Championship side of it as well. Notably that it is significantly closer. So Super Venturi, of course, lead the championship, but only by 31 points. over THR. And on this occasion, both of the THRs are heading for podium positions. And Jukka-Pekka Lalu in the Super Venturi car had a spin earlier on and is currently not even on course for points. This would only be the second time this year if Lalu does not finish inside the points, as well as Canada, where the team just did not get the setup right. But THR would get significantly closer to them in this round if they were to finish as they are now. TOP Esports are third in the championship, a little way behind, and with Owen McGorgy running only 11th position, not the race they would have wanted either. There's Dylan Fisher taking a look at Stein Hangraf for 13th. Fourth in the team's championship is Edge Esports, but there is an awesome battle taking place between themselves and Adonis Engineering. They're both on exactly the same number of points. The only reason that Edge are classified as ahead is because they have won races this year. They won the Emilia-Romagna / San Marino Grand Prix and the Austrian Grand Prix, both with Mark Schluter. And Adonis Engineering only have one podium to their name, a second place at Britain with Robin Pansar. But that little fight's one that's changing in this race as well, because Pansar is up in 4th position. Schluter unable to get back into the podium places just yet. Down the straight come the leaders. So those were the top 5 in the team's championship: Super Venturi, THR, TOP, Edge Esports and Adonis Engineering. At the bottom, of course, I mentioned the battle between Pescara ADG and Stax Racing. Depending on how many teams the GPWC management want to keep around for next year, that could end up being a relegation battle. Of course, we can't say for sure because it's completely up to the discretion of the GPWC management. There isn't a proper promotion relegation system where maybe the bottom 2 teams per se get relegated, but it could well be that case. There's a brief yellow flag, and Thomas Harvey retires from the race. So out of the race goes Thomas Harvey, and I think that may end up, nearly 3 wide. Sandeep Singh fighting with Dylan Fisher and Stein Hangraf. Hangraf looks to have, and a punt from the rear. Fisher does well to hold it. But yes, I think that may be Pescara ADG's last chance of points gone. And that was very bold from Sandeep Singh, ducking to the inside of Curva Grande with wheels on the grass, touching the side of Dylan Fisher's car, and only just getting away without causing a big accident there. That was a little bit of a close one.
It was quite cheeky, actually. You go right underneath him and then try to go over the grass to pass him. Yeah, bit brave from Sandeep, but he backed out. I think he worked out that the Super League car is not a rallycross car, so wasn't the best idea, especially after the little punt. But thankfully neither of them majorly affected. Hopefully that hasn't given Dylan too much or any damage. But Sandeep's still there. It looks like is he going to think about making the move? Yes, but pulls out last second, which is probably the wise thing to do there. He's now going to have DRS down that main straight.
Christian Zen has just messaged me. He says, just for your information, if we don't score points, I still blame you, with a kissing face emoji. And who's that? Zolt Shukes goes through. And just as we're talking about the Stax Racing squad, he makes up a place on Owen McGorgy. Great stuff. Great stuff. But yeah, Godona says, my internet's dying and I'm still watching this race in glorious 240p and like 5 minutes behind. But yeah, still your fault if we don't score points. So yes, I will try my best not to mention that team in any positive light for the rest of the day. Now here's what happened to Thomas Harvey. Big twitch on the exit of Ascari, bang into the barriers, fire and everything, rather dramatic stuff. Good avoiding action. Well, nearly. Good avoiding action from possibly Hygo Poom or Dylan Fisher. It's one of the Egea Hero cars. I think Poom
hit the wheel.
I think he did, yeah, that's why I said possibly, because as he was running down the straight, he rather walloped the wheel that was bouncing down the track, and that's why we have wheel tethers, folks. Hopefully, we don't end up seeing that in real life anytime soon. That could have been very nasty indeed, but on this occasion, he seems to have got away with it without too much damage.
Now, what's Maguire thinking of doing? He had a look, but I don't think it was very serious. They're still thinking the better of battling each other. All of that top 9 at the moment. All just sitting in still. I mean, no pressure, guys, but us commentators would love something to commentate on. They're all being too sensible for Super League, but I know that we're going to get close to the end and it's all going to get turned on its head. But, you know, people like Granquist have got a championship to think of and don't want to do anything too silly. You got to look at the bigger picture here.
Well, I think it will.
I wouldn't mind going for it.
I think it will get more frenetic in the last few laps. I can't imagine the likes of, say, Adam Maguire sitting less than half a second behind Yartayan and not going for something bold. So I think it will happen. We might need to wait till the end, but I guess we just need to change the way that we see this race. It reminds me a lot of a Monaco Grand Prix, actually, where you know that anything could change at any moment, and you know that what the drivers are doing is actually really difficult, and they're only millimeters away from an accident at any point in time, and yet somehow they never seem to have an accident anymore. But that is in the real world of Grand Prix racing, of course. And it's similar to that here, because yes, we don't have the side-by-side racing that we maybe would have liked, but you can't judge a race on the statistical number of overtakes that you get. And what we're seeing here is tension. Sandeep Singh going for a move on Dylan Fisher. Unable. Fisher had the advantage of DRS from Stein Hangraf up in front and the slipstream. The car in front in a situation like that is always put in a weird situation where they can almost decide the outcome of the battle behind by who they give the slipstream to. That's brave! Oh my goodness. And Singh backs out again. Reminds me of Vettel and Alonso in 2011. Running over the grass on the exit of Curva Grande. And again, Sandeep Singh is so bold with these overtakes. It's always Dylan Fisher he's going for a move on as well. So Fisher has been defending like his race depends on it. And comes out ahead on that occasion. But yeah, Ryan, that was a close one.
It was, and just reading through the YouTube chat, Menno Clont saying, and it is quite evident actually that Fletcher's having some kind of issue. A few tiny lag spikes, he's dropped about a second, maybe a bit more.
That's a shame.
Going to be, I think, the replay where Dennis, I think, catches the wheel from Thomas Harvey, isn't it?
No, it wasn't Dennis who caught the wheel, but you can see the avoiding action there. It was the car ahead of him who caught the wheel. Oh, he caught the wheel as well.
As well. Yeah, I thought they both got it.
Yeah, I think they both got it there. So Dennis Urban only just...
Take a wing.
It is. I think you can have that happen. If you hit it squarely enough and at the wrong place, then yeah, you can have a wing. And into the pits comes Dennis Urban now, but you can remove a wing by blunt force. I mean, obviously you can, but you know what I mean. Sandeep Singh also pitted that last time around. Lap 40 now, 40 laps in. Yartayan leads. Adam Maguire second, Tom Stevens third. We've got the Nocturne THR squad 1, 2 and 3. Then it's Robin Panzer, Jan Granqvist, Mark Schluter, Carlos Martin, Jeffrey Fournier, Sergio Fletcher and Matthias Moos. Hopefully Fletcher's lag spikes aren't too bad. He did lose out a bit of time in the pit stop stages, wasn't quite able to get onto the top 8, but yeah, there is a chance that's partly down to some connection issues. Matthias Moos is running P10, then it's Zolt Schukes running 11th, on course for Stax' first points of the year. McGorky is P12, then Stein Hangraf P13, Dylan Fisher P14, and Pascal Pollens P15. The current points paying positions, the biggest exception to that is that Jakob-Pekka Lalu is currently not in the points, so Super Venturi would only be scoring with one driver, which would affect their standings in the Teams Championship. And we have, I think, 24 drivers remaining in this race from the 27 who started. There you see them on the list. I think all of them still on the lead lap. They'll be close to it anyway. And a little battle going on between the RSRs here. A little treat for you, Ryan, on a day where I'm afraid you're not going to have much to cheer for at the end of this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to call it a treat. I'm sure the guys wouldn't call it that either.
You get your cars on camera, you get your liveries and Do you have sponsors you have to show off there?
Yeah, we have a few sponsors who will be enjoying getting some screen time. Let's take away the positives.
Go on then. Do you want to do a shout out or two? Who gives you money?
Well, Box H2O have been a personal sponsor of mine for my racing for a few years now. Mad for Mini as well. The team that I did run with in Mini Challenge still support me. And then my own brand as well, Kart Marketplace, my new business this year, is getting a bit of love on the side of the car as well, which will become an even bigger sponsor next year, so I'll give myself some free advertising.
Magorki about to, well, it looked as if he was about to go for a move on Zolt Shooks. This is a fight that's lasted the entire race. You mentioned your old Mini Challenge car there, Ryan. How did that do at the weekend?
It got written off, not by me.
Yeah,
but it's dead now, unfortunately.
Slightly minier than it was before. Looks a little bit like a banana, but yeah, luckily everyone okay in that one. Anyway, we are watching a race in real time. My apologies for going a bit off topic, but I think considering the fact it's died down a little bit since the early stages, I think you can forgive us for not really having much to speak about when it comes to action on the road. And Magorki is doing his best to spice up the show with this fight with Zolt Shooks. I very much hope that they keep it clean. Both of these teams really need it in their championships. TOP is not having a great day today. Stax Racing is. They're, with the exception, of course, of their retirement on the first lap for the other car. Zolt Shooks is doing a great job. It wasn't the first lap, but Isvan Singal did retire early on. And is that a move there?
Yeah, it was.
Jeffrey Fournier gets up to 7th place on the back of Carlos Martin. I think Martin lost the DRS from Schluter up in front, so that's the first move we've seen in the top 8 for a long time in this race. And Jeffrey Fournier now, possibly the start of an attack.
Yeah, it's
and Magorki got Shooks for 11th place. Magorki got Shooks.
Gonna get past again as well.
Stein Hangraf coming through now. And Shooks will have the inside line, so Hangraf... Well, they touch! Oh my goodness! Okay, well, Shooks has got away from it, so panic over. Goodness me, I felt the wrath of Christian Zerner falling on my head there, but Stein Hangraf got off worse, and he rejoins the race in 15th position, so still in the points-paying places. And I know we've only seen that once, Ryan, but what do you make of that one? Well, we're going to see it again, actually.
To be sure, it looked just like they just got a little bit caught up in the first part of the braking zone. Yeah, it was a bit... I wouldn't pin a blame on anybody at that kind of speed. I'd have to see it slowed down, but it just looked like they were both trying to aim for the same... They were both heading straight, but I think just straight at each other a little bit, so...
Responsibility for that one depends on whether Shooks gave him enough space, or whether he, whether there wasn't a car width left at the edge of the circuit there. Apologies for the slight stammer. I woke up pretty late today, so I'm still a bit groggy, but you know. Okay, into the final 10 laps of the race we go. Looks like Dylan Fisher was able to take advantage of that one, so he's up into 12th position. New fastest lap Sandeep Singh. We've seen that message propping up a good few times in this race. Looking at where he is in relation to Stein Hangraf here, actually, I think he'd probably need a spin or two from cars up in front of him to score points, but it's nothing to say he won't catch Hygo Poom in these late stages, considering almost everyone else is on old tyres, having only stopped once, and Singh will be on fresh softs. He'll almost definitely get fastest lap from this race, and to be honest, that probably means we won't be handing out a fastest lap point, but I'm still speaking too soon on that front. And there was a change. I'm sure I saw Dylan Fisher get past Owen Magorki there for P11. So Fisher goes through. I thought there was over a second between them on the previous lap, so maybe a mistake from Magorki. Well, there's Fisher. Magorki has dropped back considerably. I reckon there must have been a mistake there. He's still got his front wing. Okay. Hygo Poom fighting with Stein Hangraf for that final points-paying position. P15. They have to be careful not to hold themselves up too much, because Sandeep Singh is coming. He's flying on those soft tyres. Still has a bit of a gap, but these two could hold each other up too much. But Poom gets through into P15. Both of the AKA Hero cars now in the points, despite both starting outside of the points-paying positions. It's been a decent recovery drive from them. There is Pascal Pollentz, P14, on the back of Zolt Schukes. Remember, points go down to 15th position, so yes, Schukes has lost a couple of places from that P11 we just saw him running in, but this would still be a points-paying position if he was to finish there, and he still has every reason to fight for this. Pollentz has the DRS, making it a little bit more likely that he will get through, or at least get alongside him on the straight. No DRS down this particular straight here. This is interesting. According to Menno Klont, just sent me a message. He says, I believe that if Jarl wins it, he becomes the first double winner since 2014. Do you mean the first double winner of the Italian Grand Prix?
Does he just need a Grand Prix, like the same Grand Prix back to back?
Yes, he does mean that. So this race in 2013 and 2014 was won by Lucas Euler, both years. And if Jarl Time was to win it this year, he of course would have back-to-back wins at this circuit. But Menno, do you mean that that's the case at every circuit or just this one? So, for example, have there been other tracks that people have won back-to-back races at, or is this the first one since 2014? That would be impressive, but he's still got to hold off this long chain of cars behind him. Carlos Martin has caught back. Fournier and Martin have caught back up. They're a bit closer than they were. Fournier might have DRS from Schluter now. I know he lost it a few laps ago. Fletcher still not completely out of the picture. We have 7 laps to go, including the one we're on, and this is the closest that the THRs have been. But he had to defend. Stevens had to defend from Panzer as well. Okay, that was the raciest we've seen them get into the first couple of corners in a good few laps now. I think that's a positive sign. It could be a sign of things to come in the late stage to this race. If any of you have begun to sit back and relax, it might be about time to start getting the edge of your seat ready. We always see this in GPVWC. The end of the race is the most exciting bit, where all of the strategies converge, all of the drivers come together, sometimes literally. In this case, of course, the reason the race has been relatively straightforward is that there haven't been too many divulging strategies, and the drivers who have gone for different strategies are pretty much out of the points-paying positions. But up at the front, that doesn't mean we're not going to get an exciting finish to the race, and I think we very well are. Adam Maguire very close to tying into the braking zone, 0.2 of a second behind. We're going to have 6 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line. And we are on course for it to be the fastest race of the year. Down towards turn 1. Is there an opportunity this time? Still, the answer is no. But still, the DRS flaps open and close. So, what do you make of this? 8 cars still there in the final 6 laps of the race. Yeah, they haven't been side by side in a while, but they were at the start. We know that they can race. And with the tyres wearing as well, could this be a case of who's been driving a little more conservatively, who has the fight in the latter stages, and who can make their move without compromising themselves enough that they lose places to the cars behind? What do you reckon, Ryan?
I feel like it's something that's about to go off. There's no way we can have all these cars this close and nothing happens.
Talking of nothing happening, has your stream frozen? Mine has.
My stream has frozen.
Right. Vince, we are having troubles with the stream here. Oh, it might be about to come back. I very much hope it does, because this is the most exciting part of the race for a long time, so we really don't want to miss anything here. And well, we're getting a bit of a slideshow at the minute, so we do apologise if we miss anything. I hope it's not that way on YouTube as well, and I hope you can all hear us at least decently well.
The YouTube stream is completely fine. I'm now using it as a reference.
Yeah, but it's about 20 seconds behind. Okay.
Yes, it is.
We're refreshing the Discord stream. Hopefully this comes back, and like I said, hopefully we haven't missed anything important.
There we go.
And we're back. Has the order changed? I don't believe it has. We're still, well, 7/10 of a second now, so I think it came out about 2 or 3 tenths that last lap between Tyne and Maguire. DRS open again. Okay, well, good to see we didn't miss anything. Sorry about that slight blip there, but it's a little hard to commentate on stuff that you can't see. It's kind of the opposite of a radio broadcast, isn't it? Normally the radio broadcasters are the ones who can see the action, and they describe it to you. At that point in time, you knew more than we did, but there you go. So, we're heading towards 4 laps to go now. We'll be counting down every lap from the end. Tyne seems to have made a bit of a push now, gains another 1/10 of a second on that last lap. I think he knows that if he doesn't push now, he'll be pounced on. Maguire is second, Stevens third. How feisty will they be with each other? Will there be any team orders with THR? Tom Stevens is almost out of the championship fight, but could there be an argument that if he's let through, who knows what could happen? I'm afraid we've lost Philip Pushke from this race. Philip Pushke retires, a former winner of this race, a former champion, is out. So 23 cars remaining now. Bit of a shame, but luckily it's been a clean race on the Moose part. Jakob Lalu disposes of Stein Hangraf. That's outside of the points-paying positions, though. Sandeep Singh is back into the points-paying position, so he's overtaken Heiko Poom. I said earlier on that I didn't think we'd be handing out a fastest lap point today, but looks like we will, actually. Awesome final stint from Sandeep Singh. I wonder how far up the order he can get. So, 3 laps to go now, Ryan. It's getting exciting. Maguire gained maybe 2 tenths on that last lap. He's not letting time get away. Yellow flag's out there somewhere. Dylan Fisher just lost a place. Is that related? I hope not. Fisher's been running well. Well, I think he did lose a couple of seconds, but still in the race. That's allowed Aaron McGorgy to get P11. And there is Pascal Pollens, and Fisher's lost his front wing. Fisher into the pits. So there has been an incident there, unfortunately. And I was complimenting Fisher. He was up 8 places from his starting slot. He started 19th, he was running 11th. And unfortunately, that's all come to naught for Dylan Fisher, who will no longer score points. The best he can hope to do is take fastest lap point away from Sandeep Singh. Not that that will really matter much to him at all. What a shame, Ryan.
Yeah, he'd done quite a good job to recover what was, I think, a poor qualifying by his standards, and it's just one of them, unfortunately, that hasn't quite worked out for him in the end. But some people who it is working out for, there's this top 3 here that seem to just be putting a gap on Panzer. I just got sent a screenshot. Lap 50, the top 6 all saying the personal best lap times of the race. Not best, like not the fastest laps, but their personal bests. So they've clearly just been sat cruising. Or they've had to defend maybe once from Panzer, and they've just saved tyres, they've pushed to pass, and now they're just checking out right at the end. So it looks like for now they're going to stay in formation, but maybe we could get a last lap scrap.
2 laps to go, including this one. At least we've got the YouTube chat to keep us company. Josh Dexter says train emoji. Yep, that sounds about right. Aviaton says Grangfist still finds a way to win this race. Well, I'm not sure about that, but he's done a good job to stay in 5th place. We've got Luke Mitchell asking, what odds did I get on Tyan? Yeah, well, he started 4th, so, I mean, the odds won't be astronomical, but even so, he's done a great job and really excelled compared to his qualifying performance. And Brian Mazumda says, Sergio Fletcher is my GOAT. Yeah, we've barely even noticed Sergio Fletcher in this race, but he's still running 9th. And here's a move. Mark Schluter is attacking. Sorry, Jan Grankvist is being attacked by Robin Panzer. Schluter's there on the inside. So Grankvist, Panzer and Schluter go onto the straight as one as we head onto the final lap of the race. Tyan leads by half a second. He should have this, providing he doesn't make a mistake. And it looks like Grankvist loses a place. So through goes Schluter into 4th place, through goes Panzer into 5th. Okay, so we do still have moves on this last lap. Heiko Poom now going for a move on Zolt Schukes. The top 3 all separated from each other by less than a second on this last lap. Only about half a second between Maguire and Stevens. Will Maguire decide that Stevens needs more points, or do they keep the pressure on Tyan right till the line? Here they are, the final DRS zone of the race. If there was a chance, if there is any push to pass left, they'd be using it all now. I think that might be the lot. We do still have a long straight heading down to the final corner. And then, of course, that run to turn 1, but I think this will be it. Dylan Fisher sets the fastest lap, so we won't be handing out a fastest lap point. A slight look from Maguire, but he's nowhere near close enough. And that will be it. So Jarl Tyan, a wonderful drive, will win the Italian Grand Prix for the 2nd year in a row and his first Grand Prix victory of the year. Great drive from Jarl Tyan. Maguire is 2nd, Stevens is 3rd. Mark Schluter 4th, having taken it on the last lap. Panzer is 5th, Grankvist is 6th. A disappointing drive for the championship leader, but he warned us that he wasn't confident about this one with his Logitech steering wheel. And it's making me wonder about my own steering wheel because I use a Logitech, but you know. Jeffrey Fournier P7, Carlos Martin P8, Sergio Fletcher is P9. Great job on his debut for Sergio Fletcher. Matthias Moose 10th, then Owen McGorgy, Pascal Pollins, Sandeep Singh, Heiko Poom and Zolt Schukes. Now, has Schukes crossed the line or not? Because if he has, then he has scored Stax' first point of the year. We were hoping for more, as Fischer's going to go right around the outside of Tomasz Volk on the last lap. Good move, but it won't matter for anything. He won't score points. But yes, Zolt Schukes has scored Stax' first point of the year, finally. And I'm sure that Christian Zerner will be over the moon with that, as will Zolt Schukes. Lalu misses out on a point in 16th place. The train now resembles a bit more of a... It's like a join the dot puzzle out there. And, well, it wasn't a particularly hectic race. Not a particularly dramatic one, but it was tense to the end. The leaders were right together. And at least on paper, it was a close one, Ryan.
Yeah, on paper it was. It had everything to be a thriller, but just ever so slightly lacked in the end. And then this is a replay of what happened to Pushka, who I believe was off in a lags bag disconnect, yeah.
Yep. Just a little disconnection there, and that's it. Aviaton says Grankvist could have had 4th if he'd waited a bit longer for a move, in my opinion. Potentially. I think anyone really could have come out on top out of that one, and it was just about waiting for the right moment. But how do you know the right moment, where the right moment is, with the absence of hindsight? But there you go. And Jarl Tyan cruises his way back to the pit lane. Here are the full results. Jarl Tyan wins, followed by the nocturne pairing of Adam Maguire and Tom Stevens. Then it's Mark Schluter 4th, Robin Panzer 5th, Jan Grankvist 6th, then Jeffrey Fournier, Carlos Martin, Sergio Fletcher, great drive. Matthias Moose is P10. We go to the next screen, and it will be Owen McGorky P11, another disappointing drive just like in Belgium. Pascal Pollins P12, then Sandeep Singh, Heiko Poom, Zolt Schukes, first points for Stax, and first point for Stax. Jakub Ekelalu, no points for the second Super Venturi car, they will lose out in the team's championship. Daniel Stepkowski is P17, then also missing out on points were the Green Stripes, Dennis Urban and Stein Hangraf. Dylan Fisher with that incident late on in the race. And then Tomasz Fok, Arda Erkan and George Zalagianis also missed out on points with 4 DNFs, being Philip Pushke, Thomas Harvey, Istvan Singel and Moritz Kropp. Good to see a relatively clean race, although unfortunately 3 cars did not turn up for the start of this one. And we always like to see a full house for these Super League races. The next race will be the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. Don't go anywhere, of course. We do still have interviews coming up from Monza. But yes, Azerbaijan, always an exciting one. And in the meantime, of course, we will have the support categories for that, including Super Light, FS1 and FS2. And I just found out today that I'm going to be doing the FS2 race, so I would appreciate any support that you guys would like to come and give me in the YouTube chat, without meaning to sound like I'm begging too much. But anyway, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix has the narrowest section of any Grand Prix circuit on the calendar. It's fast in some places, slow in others, and you never quite know what to make of it until you're in the race. So definitely make sure that you don't miss that one. We're going to go to interviews now, because we can interview the team boss of the winning driver, and that is Toby Davis. Hello, Toby. How are you?
I mean, absolutely buzzing.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, over the moon, Caitlin. Honestly, it's unbelievable.
So that's Nocturne's first victory of the year, and who else but Jarl Tyen to do it? The same driver who got you your first podium at the last race. Jarl, we never quite know if he's going to be racing in these or not. I take it he has a bit of a busy schedule potentially.
Yeah, Jarl works often Thursday nights because of his job role. Requires him to work Thursday nights to prep for the weekend where he works. So it makes it very, very difficult for him to race in Super League. But we've kind of captured his attention, I guess, at Nocturne. We know how amazing he is based on what he did last year at Monza, and he's filled in for THR earlier this season when Adam Maguire had some issues, and now he's joined Nocturne for a couple of rounds as well. And honestly, so grateful to have Jarl here. He has been a breath of fresh air to the team and really driven the level. And this is the level of THR Nocturne, but he's driven it up another notch, and it's been fantastic. And it's great to get Nocturne's first win of the season. We had a few with Adam Maguire last season, but overall, I mean, for the THR Nocturne group as a whole, to lock out the podium here is just unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned THR as well, because it's no secret that you are sister teams. How have you achieved such a good result? Why were your cars so good today?
Just the way we prepped for this round, we knew how important the qualifying positions would be, and to have that overall 1 lap pace. We actually didn't put it into that much practice in qualifying, but it was all about having a car that was just really, really, really quick over that 1 lap, and to then have that ability to drive within the car for the rest of the race, to look after the tyres. It's a completely different mindset. And that's what we've done. So we've made a rocket ship of a car and then drove it at 80%, and it's really worked absolute wonders here. So yeah, superb.
Now, in terms of the race itself, it was a little bit of a train throughout most of it. Kind of reminded me of a Monaco Grand Prix I've seen in the past. What do you think was causing that? Were your cars just so hard to overtake in a straight line?
It's very difficult here. You have to be well within half a second or so exiting Parabolica, and if the car in front of you has DRS, then it's very, very difficult. You have to do kind of surprise push to pass attacks, and that's how we were able to make those positions in the first stint. And then it was all about boxing at exactly the right time. We knew we had a gap to the cars which Panzer came out into and got held up by. So Schluter and Panzer got held up by those cars. We knew if we pushed with push to pass on that end lap, we'd clear them, and that's actually ultimately what happened for Adam. Tom managed to get into anti-stall in the pit lane.
Oh, really?
So that's why he lost the position to Maguire. Yeah. So
I noticed his stop was slightly slower, but yeah, we didn't see that. Thanks for the update.
Yeah, no worries. That's just why it wasn't anything on purpose or anything like that. not ideal. But there we go. I mean, ultimately, Jarl has shown his talent and done a really, really good job here, and hopefully we can encourage him to at least do some of the races for us next season as well. I don't mind having a bit part driver for one of the seats next season at Nocturne, but if we can keep Jarl for as many rounds as possible, work permitting, and then he's on board with that too, then that would be wonderful.
Very good. Well, thank you for talking to us. Just quickly, Ryan, do you have anything to add for Toby here?
No, just a massive congratulations. That setups worked absolute wonders. You guys just turned it on right in the last 2 laps. It was quite scary how much pace they had in the back pocket.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was all about getting the ultimate qualifying setup as best we could, and then just driving it kind of, I guess, slowly. It was quite a boring race, I'd imagine, from that point of view, because we knew we had just had that ability to just get off the first and second chicane with the traction, especially the first chicane, just to defend from Panzer behind, and then it was all about just being careful through the high speed corners where the tires get worn, and ultimately at the end of the race, then your tires will come back to you, and that's what happened. So,
okay, well, thank you very much for speaking to us, Toby, and congratulations on a victory, the first for Nocturne this year.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much.
And of course, we can't talk about that victory without talking to the victor himself, Jarl Tyen. Hello, Jarl.
Hello.
So, Jarl, a close one and a little bit tense all the way through, but you seem to have that one under control. How did you do it?
Dedication. No, we definitely worked a lot on this event, and I was succeeded by being patient and not showing your hand too early, because it was even though it probably looked really boring on the stream, but we were dogfighting with ERS and when to push, when to not to push, and it was just a mind game, really.
Yeah, it certainly seemed to be. Why were you not able to pull away from the others, and why were they not able to pass you?
Well, mainly on the first stint, the softs, they obviously wear a bit quicker, so it's easier to make a good setup stand out. So that's why I was able to get to the lead and then eventually pull away and actually break the DRS, because everybody else would fall off a little bit at the end, and they would push a little earlier, which hurt their tires, obviously. But then on the hard, and the fact that it was a very cold track today, made that it took so long for a good setup or taking care of your tires. It only with 5 laps to go, you would actually see like the difference of who saved their tires the best and who didn't. And you could see we managed to finally break the DRS with like 5 laps to go, or 4 laps to go, I forget.
Yeah, and I think at that point we knew you'd got it when you and Adam started to pull away from Tom and the others behind. But yeah, really, really good job. So who do you have to thank for this one? I noticed the Nocturne and THR cars had an awesome setup, but also I understand you work quite closely with practicing with others behind the scenes.
Yeah, obviously I have to thank Tom and Adam and everybody behind on the team to make this happen. Obviously I have a big influence with which direction the setup goes, but I couldn't do it without people who are dedicated, right? So I definitely have to thank the drivers that helped me.
We know that you've been working a lot on Thursday nights, which is why you haven't committed to Super League. But how many races are you expecting to do before the end of the year?
Oh, I've actually talked to my boss, and I've been able to get a majority of the season off, actually.
Oh, wow.
Race. So except one race. So I should be able to do rest of the season, really, except one.
Which one's that?
I believe that would be Kota, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, well, thank you very much for speaking to us, Jarl, and congratulations on your race win.
Thank you so much.
Okie dokie. So, with Jarl interviewed, we don't have Adam, who was in second place, but we do have the third place finisher, Tom Stevens. Hello, Tom.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. Yes, I'm very good, thanks. So Tom, you were right on the back of Jarl and Adam right towards the end, but it looked so tricky to overtake today. Was there anything more you could have done?
After the first stint, not really. I mean, we're in perfect position. Obviously, we work with Nocturne, so we're gonna be working together during the races to a degree, like not completely, but we just thought, oh, it's smart. Let's just keep formation for now. And there was never really an opportunity to pass because of the way the DRS was, and Jarl was so quick, he pulled us along the whole race. So yeah, from the first pit stop coming up the pits, I was behind Adam. Yeah, I knew that was pretty much it. It was just a case of defending from any potential attacks behind and just making sure I don't put a foot wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to bring up the championship every time because I know there's only so many ways you can say maybe, but you definitely did gain some points back on Jan today, and we know that he's not entirely comfortable with the new wheel that he's been using. How are you feeling about that situation now?
Well, in terms of drivers, I think the damage has already been done. Jan's got enough of a gap. Obviously, it's not too far. Well, it's quite far, but it's not out of the world for something crazy to happen and for me to fall back in contention. But ultimately, if I really want to try and get the Drivers' Championship, I need to earn it on track myself. Like, I was in a position today where Adam could have let me pass and I could have gained a few points, but I don't think that's necessary. I think I need to go out there and earn it myself. And for me, the ultimate focus is on the teams. That's what I truly want to win, and that's something that we're actually behind in currently. So that's what we're fighting for at the minute.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way of putting it. It's all feeling very Norris versus Verstappen right now, but if you are focusing on the team's championship, that does make sense as to why you were satisfied finishing behind Adam. We heard you had a little incident in the pits going into anti-stall. How does that happen?
That happens by stupidity. That was my own incompetence, pretty much. So I just forgot to turn auto clutch back on, like after the start, and then when I was in the pit box, I was waiting for my pit crew to release me, and I was like, right, it's been 3.5 seconds, let's go, and nothing was happening, and then I was like, oh no, put the clutch in, and then continued. But by that point, Adam had got ahead of me, so maybe there was an opportunity to finish ahead of Adam today, but oh well, that is something I'll learn for next time.
Do you have auto clutch off at the start? Is this some sneaky trick I should know about?
I said nothing. Yeah, no, it really depends. It depends what people want to do, but I tried it today. Didn't really make much of a difference, so I don't know what I'll be doing going forwards.
It does make a difference. It's not a secret either.
Well, I don't know about this.
But it really depends on how you're starting and what car, and
yeah, I think
you can still
makes a big difference.
Yeah, you can still have good starts with auto clutch on. I mean, that's what I've been using all season.
I thought I was good at starts. Anyway, less about me. Yeah, congratulations on your P3 there, Tom. Thank you for talking to us, and good luck at the next few races.
Thanks very much.
Okie dokie. So we will just about have time for one more interview. Let's look up and down the chat and see who's had an interesting race. I tell you what, we haven't spoken to. You know what? Let's bring in Sandeep. Sandeep's always a good laugh. Hello, Sandeep.
Oh, I was in the middle of swearing there. What's up? What's up?
Well, we got lucky, didn't we? So, Sandeep, the only reason I bring you in now is because you were amazing in that last stint of the race. Bolting on those soft tires, going out there. But you had your fastest lap snagged. How much do you hate Dylan Fisher?
For what? Taking fastest lap?
Yeah, you had it for so long.
Yeah, and he didn't get a point, and I did.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, but you'd have had an extra point.
Yeah, but I'm only here for fun, though, innit? I'm not. What if I did a 2-stop, man? I was like, I'm not gonna go on the hards. It's be boring. It'd be doing running circles. I was like, I was gonna bolt on softs and just gonna have some fun, and I did.
So your strategy decision came down to what would be more fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Ask the guys up front, did they have fun doing the 1-stop following a DRS train? Or would they have more fun in the 2-stop just overtaking people?
Well, you say that, but it worked. You made some overtakes. You got
Yeah.
some points.
Did.
Very well done. Well done. Another reason I wanted to talk to you is because we speak to these top guys a lot. We speak to THR, Nocturne, Edge Esports, but your racing, of course, is just as important. With that being said, though, I wasn't expecting you not to be taking it seriously. That's funny.
I crashed in quali, mate.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask about that. Yeah. So you did have a crash there. We didn't see it.
Yeah. So it was just lost it on the Scary. So I was just like, oh well, that's a race over. Race over. I was like, well, I'm just gonna go 2-stop, have some fun from last, and that was the idea. But,
Well, you'll be glad to know we didn't catch that on camera, so you've got that embarrassment spared anyway.
Actually, you know what? I was just thinking. Yeah, he might have taken the point for the fastest lap, but I did get the point back because he crashed. So
No, I think you only get the point if you do actually have the fastest lap.
no. I'm making the point that I lost the point, but also gained the point that he crashed. So it's a net 0 point gain. So
Well, to him, yeah, but not to everyone else. Anyway, on that bombshell, thank you very much for speaking to us, Sandeep. I know you probably weren't expecting to be dragged in today, but I just thought I haven't spoken to you in a while, so I wanted to say hi.
Oh, that's right. I might be back. I don't know. Later this season. What we got? Baku, Singapore, Kota, Brazil. Let me see about Brazil if I get bored.
Okay, well, we'll see you then, and good luck when you come back.
Thanks. See ya.
I tell you what, I know we were about to end, but I've just seen Sergio Fletcher going into the interview room. Sergio, hello, do you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Hello. It has been a long time since we've seen someone finish in the top 10 on their Super League debut. And actually, this is your GPWC debut. You haven't raced in any other GPWC events. So for anyone who might not know you, could you just introduce yourself? Like, who are you and what have you been doing racing-wise?
I'm Sergio Fletcher. I'm Spanish, and I've been racing formulas in racing so far this year. And yeah, I got called by Menno. There was a open seat, and he just called me up, and I gave it a go.
Fantastic. Were you expecting to be competitive today?
Yes, actually, I had very big issues.
Yeah, we heard.
My graphics on high, so I had massive input like the whole race.
Yes, and we heard you were having some lag spikes as well, so that would explain it. That's a shame. How well do you think you could have done if you hadn't had that?
I mean, I was a bit faster than Robin on quali pace, so I could have been up there. And on race pace, we were quite even, so I reckon I could have finished P6, P5 maybe. But
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that
managed to keep it on track with all my issues, so I guess P9 is as well as I could do, so I'm happy with it.
So that's promising because we do apparently have some seats open in Super League. So are we expecting to see you back again in the future rounds?
Hopefully I can do the rest of the races this season, if everything goes to plan. So yeah.
Very good. Well, I know it didn't all go your way, but you should be proud of yourself for finishing in the top 10 on your debut. Not many people do that. Yeah, congratulations, and we'll see you around.
Thank you very much, man.
Okie dokie. So with that, I think we will end the interview segment. Thank you all very much for watching and listening. Thank you to everyone who I've interviewed. Thanks as well to Ryan Elliott for keeping me company in the commentary box, and to Vincent Gutt for providing all of the cameras, the stream that you've been watching. It's always good to have GPWC going out live and for free. You don't get that with every top-notch racing series that there is. We will see you in 2 weeks' time at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, or as I said, we have the junior categories in the meantime. I'm going to be racing in FS2, probably aiming for a top 15 finish. Let's be real, I'm not going to win it, but it'll be a good race nonetheless. And then, of course, I think there's actually a chance that Jan Grankvist can wrap up the Super League Championship at the next race, but we will confirm that when we come back to the broadcast in 2 weeks' time. Thank you all, and have a good time.